Hello there, my name is Anna Delman. I am on day number 218 of a note writing adventure. I struggled with writing a note to myself today simply because the topic I've been working through over the past weeks, month, maybe 2 months at this point, has been spiritual abandonment and desertion. And sure, I've enjoyed digging deeply into it, reading a lot about it, to iron everything out, but it does get to be a very heavy topic. And this week it's Christmas, and I thought, well, is it a good topic to pursue, particularly this week? And last night I picked up a book that I have read a few times through the years, and it's very marked up, and it's a sweet and bitter providence. And I thought, well, let me just read that over this week and talk about it, because that is I find that very encouraging when God is doing so much good for generations to come through what's occurring in a difficult situation. And then as I picked up the book Spiritual Desertions again and just started reading where I had left off, I realized that the sweetness in the bitter providence of spiritual abandonment is what I needed to stick to, because if it wasn't for the birth of the Savior, which we celebrate this week, we wouldn't know the depths of spiritual abandonment. And that's a good thing, because, friends, it's only those who know Him well, who know Him personally, who experience that. If you're not a believer, you're not going to know what it's like to have Him take a step back from you in order to draw you closer to Him. Now, you may think, well, why does He step away? It's to grow you, to mature you, to make you rush after Him. And that's a sweet, sweet thing. As I continue to read in the book Spiritual Desertion, my heart just delighted. So here goes my note for today, day 218. Have you discovered the sweetness in your difficult days? Does it strengthen you to keep on going step by step, day by day? And with each step, a growing confidence and a growing joy. What is that to you? And in what I kept thinking through, it's the gospel of grace. Now, there wouldn't be such a thing as the gospel of grace if it wasn't for Christmas Day, the birth of the Savior. And then furthermore, in reading through the book Spiritual Desertion, I came to a section, and it's what Johannes Hoornbeek says. We now turn to the discussion of the comforts themselves, paying attention to the sources from which these comforts flow. We note that these are either general if they apply to all troubles, or special if they apply only to trials. These comforts flow from 3 sources: from the nature and purpose of these spiritual trials, from God as He reveals Himself to these tried persons, from the grace of the gospel toward and about these tried persons. Friends, if you don't know the gospel, if you've never experienced that grace, you are not going to struggle in this way. And the more I thought about it, and the more I analyzed my own struggles with difficult church experiences and difficult people, etc., I realized that the sweetness in the isolating experience or the alone experience that I have is the gospel of grace. It is the gospel. It is Jesus Himself. To understand that and to know that, friends, that's Christmas. That's the Christmas celebration. That is joy to the world. That's, oh, come all ye faithful. That is, come, celebrate with joy and thanksgiving that He did indeed come, that He is our Savior, that He does reveal Himself to us in the difficult moments, in the trials and the struggles in life. So does what you've found to be the sweetness in your difficult days, in your difficult moments, can you talk about it? Can you share it with others? Can you tell them about the joy and the excitement that it is to you? Friends, I can do that to me. Here I pick up a book, and this is about Ruth and Boaz and the sweet and bitter providence in that. I also picked up another book trying to think, well, I've got to share something different. And it talks about What is the title of the book? God's Solutions to Life's Problems. I've worked through that a few times. It was one of the textbooks when I was in college, and I used it in counseling others and worked through the book with a few people over the years when I used to do online counseling, etc. And it talks about the familification. That's when the church becomes your family, and I was going to talk about all of that. But friends, what about even there, when that's supposed to be what encourages us, lifts us up, and brings us joy, when that is our experience there is the opposite of what God intended? What then? What then, friends? That's when we focus on the gospel of grace, the gospel which is Jesus Christ. And when you do that, friends, you will know that's the sweetness and the providence. You're basking in the birth of the Savior will be like no other experience you've had. Now, some people do not celebrate Christmas because it's not a biblical holiday. And as you hear that, you might be offended in my saying that it is not a biblical holiday. However, traditions have made it something which the world celebrates. Many people don't know what Christmas really is all about. It's just a day where people get together and they exchange gifts. They couldn't tell you about the gospel of grace. They couldn't tell you about the coming of Christ. They couldn't tell you about the fulfillment of prophecy in his coming. They couldn't tell you why there's a tree, why there are lights, and how you can make that into a biblical presentation. They couldn't tell you that Christmas is an outreach opportunity more than it is a celebration opportunity. You need to work that out for yourself in a way that you can still share with everybody else. I do not celebrate Christmas as other people would, but that doesn't mean I don't have a moment of gratitude for what God allowed through it. Sure, I have done all the crazy decorating in my life. I used to decorate a 5-acre residential compound in the Hollywood Hills for my ex-employers, and we used to have 6-foot nutcrackers, trees in each room. I've done exceptional decorating in my life. Without decorating, it doesn't mean you're not honoring Christ. I have these little trees, whoops, one that fell over, tree down, that I have, and that's sufficient for me. What is the true celebration is knowing of the sweetness of the gospel of grace and what Christ has accomplished. And what a wonderful opportunity of year it is where we can go out and encourage others with a Merry Christmas and inquire after them and kind of figure out where they are in their understanding of what Christmas is about. That's the joy. That's the celebration. And I hope you are able to have a week of just thinking through what God has accomplished for you. What is the sweetness in the bitter providences you may know in your life? What a joy it is, friends, to know the truth of that. So until tomorrow, which will be day 219, take care and God bless, and we will talk again. Bye-bye for now.